Welcome to the Early Warning Systems training series. This video is prepared by staff at the Everyone Graduates Center based at Johns Hopkins University in partnership with the New Mexico Department of Education and the High Plains Regional Educational Cooperative. The videos and breakout activities are designed to help your school team implement the planning, design, and problem solving for the implementation of an early warning system. We recommend that you watch and complete these activities with a representative team from your school that will be leading the implementation of your early warning system. The training videos will share background information and set up activities for you to complete with your team and a designated facilitator within your group. Before you start, make sure you've downloaded the video's supplemental materials from the video webpage. This video focuses on lessons learned from previous adopters and shares two areas for further exploration. One, how you can link the early warning system to college and career readiness, and two, on building partnerships. Previous videos have discussed the keys to using early warning systems in schools. Let's now look at insights and lessons learned from successful early adopters of early warning systems. We wanted to share a few trends that we have noticed and examples of how schools have worked to address. The first item that is often shared with us with schools beginning implementation is how important ownership and buy-in are to making this a successful addition to the school, and how long this process can take. School leaders who have been able to show how this builds on and improves the work of the school have been able to move much quicker in implementation. One particular approach was a school who was able to do this by showing how the early warning system fit into their process for special education referral and was a good way to organize current teacher team meetings. They created a flow chart for staff that showed how interventions were assigned, where the EWI meeting fit into their approach, and how an issue could be elevated for a more intensive level of support. Second, we have seen schools look for different ways to organize data to help them stay focused on the student as a whole person. One particular school implementing in the Southwest used a variety of strategies to help keep this focus, including putting up the student's picture with their data, compiling both social-emotional information as well as student outcome data to be viewable side by side, and starting every discussion with listing the student's strengths before talking about challenges. We also identified two trends that came from analyzing data from 35 schools across the U.S. that we partner with as part of our Talent Development Secondary Network that were implementing early warning systems. While we noticed some improvement in the total number of students who were off track, we began to see that there were some interesting patterns emerging. A few schools were doing a great job of identifying a group of students who needed support, were focusing in on those students through interventions, and were able to help them recover and improve. This was a positive sign. However, these same schools were not able to get their overall number of on-track students to increase. What the school experienced was that while they were focusing in on one group of students and helping them to get back on track, a new group of students who were on track had actually fallen off track. This reinforced for us the importance of preventative initiatives that support all students, and particularly targeted efforts aimed at trends. The common initiatives and strategies offer important support, even as we add focused support for a smaller group of students, and make sure that we don't lose track of one group of students while focusing on another. The second trend was clear during specific times of the school year. We saw the beginning of the school year as a particularly challenging time as students got used to the expectations of the new year. This was true in attendance, behavior, and course performance. We also found large numbers of students who were on track in every indicator at the third marking period, and schools who were meeting on-track goals, only to see big drop-offs by the end of the fourth marking period. This was especially true in attendance, where the end of the year had damaging impacts. Out of these two trends, many of our partner schools now create very focused opening strong and closing or finishing strong plans to organize around this short time period. In the beginning of the year, it is focused around orientation and teaching new expectations for entering the year. The end of the year is focusing on activities and initiatives to keep students and staff engaged until the final day of the school year. EWI meetings, as discussed in Video 4, are often a focal point of early warning system implementation. This meeting for coordinating, creating, and monitoring interventions has great potential to be the unifying feature of the system. However, given the demands on school staff within the day, organizing EWI meetings into an efficient and good use of time for all involved is often a challenge. We want to highlight 3 examples that schools have used to help them organize their meetings. The first was a school that created specific roles for each person in the meeting and handed out role cards to each participant at the beginning. The roles, of course, included a dedicated facilitator, but also included a data point person, an intervention responder, and a timekeeper. This simple strategy gave more of their staff members a sense of what they needed to contribute during the meeting and a way to engage more staff in the discussion. Second, a number of schools have started holding formal end-of-marking period discussions and reflection about interventions. They compiled all of the interventions they had tried and identified the most common interventions, the most common individuals or champions who were responding, and ultimately tried to determine if certain interventions were more successful. In the first chart, this team ended up realizing they were underutilizing one of their resources. And in the second chart, the team decided they needed a more uniform process for one of their most common responses, which was a personal conference. Lastly, a number of schools have looked for creative ways to make connections in their conversations and to recognize progress or success. The first team would post a picture of the student on the projector so that the team could connect the data to the student being discussed. They also built in time to share successes and good news as part of the EWI meeting agenda, created certificates for students who had made progress, and recognized progress along with high achievement at honor roll assemblies. This can be challenging work, and identifying progress and improvement was important for building momentum at their school.
Every week we look at those EWI data, and it's gotten all the way down to where the teachers are looking at individual student data.
Next student on here that we're going to look at from last week, Jareem.
To compare from one week to the next week how the interventions are affecting the students' attendance, behavior, and class performance.
A strong EWS system is built on collaboration and relies on internal and external partnerships. Internal partnerships and collaboration are built around working together for student success, and partnerships within and across departments and grade levels pool the adult brainpower and expertise in your building to create and identify the best intervention and prevention strategies. However, even when your school is well organized around keeping students on track and has time for your teams to do the work, there may be additional expertise or resources needed to meet the challenge you are facing. Dr. Belfans will now return to talk about some of the lessons that we have learned through the implementation of Diplomas Now, a whole school turnaround partnership that includes partner schools as well as 3 national nonprofit agencies.
The goal of any series of partnerships a school has with outside nonprofits or other entities within the school district is really to make sure that the sum is greater than all the parts, that the partnerships add value more than just their individual piece, but together they have a greater impact for kids in the school. One of the things we've learned with our Diplomas Now program, which integrates external nonprofits into the school, is that the early warning system can be a very powerful tool for integrating external partnerships into the school in a way that the whole becomes greater than the sum of the parts. Because the EWI data first tells us who we should focus our efforts on. It helps us decide which of our external nonprofits or outside partners can best help that kid. And it also gives us a way to have all the outside partners be working together on the same end, same goal, which is to get the kids come every day, help kids get their work done, help them stay focused in class. So it both organizes outside efforts and lets us be smart and efficient in which partner we use for which kid. And that's really how an early warning system can help make the sum be greater than the whole when we're bringing in external partners, which we often have to do when the level of student need in our buildings is greater than the adults that are there.
Community partnerships can be formed to bring more adults into the school, all organized around improving the ABCs. This support can range and may include calling students when they are absent, providing tutoring, checking and supporting homework and classwork completion, providing mentoring and encouragement, and being role models for how to handle setbacks and challenges. Improvement in the ABCs for all students can become a common goal for community partners, and a great way to engage the entire community in improving graduation rates. We have seen a number of national organizations, such as the Diplomas Now partners, City Year and Communities in Schools, as well as the United Way and other AmeriCorps programs, who have made dropout prevention and early warning systems a key strategy of their organization's success. Finally, local universities and colleges may be a particular resource and have students who can receive work-study funding for school support or offer other expertise. These engagement efforts help align the work of community organization and school goals around the ABCs. Much of the early work on early warning systems was focused on indicators that are predictive of students who are likely or unlikely to graduate from high school. In addition to this core question, many researchers have also been examining common characteristics of students who are enrolling and completing post-secondary training. Dr. Robert Belfans will further describe why it is so important to make this connection between on track for high school graduation and on track for post-secondary success.
Our nation faces a graduation challenge. There's little work for young adults without a high school degree, and really no work to support a family if you don't have some sort of post-secondary schooling or training. And if our schools are not educating and graduating our students so they can support their families, we're not really building the communities we need to succeed in the 21st century. As a result, whole communities can be cut off from full participation in the century, and this weakens the nation. In an era when then, and so what we know from that is we have to graduate all our students from high school, not just with a diploma, but ready for some sort of post-secondary schooling or training. We need to graduate all our students ready for college and career. And in this era, what we have to recognize is that the best teachers and the best curriculum, although absolutely essential, are not enough. Students also need to come every day, they need to focus in class, and they need to complete their assignments. We have the best teacher and the best curriculum, but if students aren't there regularly, if they're not able to pay attention or get their work done, we're dissipating a lot of that effort we put into having that best teacher and that strong curriculum there. Poverty greatly complicates this, and the challenges are significant. It's really poverty taxes success in school by making it harder for kids to come to school every day, for making it harder for them to focus in class, for making it harder for them to get their assignments done. The very mechanisms they need to be good and succeed at school is what poverty taxes. So schools need to be and can be organized to enable students to attend, behave, and try, but they have to recognize the scope of the challenge, the impacts that the outside world is having on students, and have a strong and robust enough system to give students the supports they need to be able to come, get their work done, and stay focused in class. So what do students need to graduate college and career ready? Well, all the research and data and experience tells us they really have to navigate some key transitions. They have to navigate that early transition in the middle grades. They have to believe schooling is for them and it's worth putting forth effort. They have to navigate that transition to high school and recognize what they have to do to succeed in high school. And finally, got to navigate that transition from high school to some sort of post-secondary schooling or training. Each one of those is critical. We can get 2 out of 3, and it's not enough. We need those 3 legs to make it through. And to do that, they have to acquire a set of academic behaviors that helps you navigate those key transitions. In short, they need to learn how to be good at school. What the data also tells us is that we have largely won the aspirations game. Kids understand that they need to do something post-high school to succeed in the 21st century. They know the degree is not enough. They know they need some sort of schooling or training. So as we can see, from 1980 to early 2000s, the percent of 10th graders saying their goal is to complete a bachelor's degree or higher, a 4-year college degree or higher, rose from 41 to 79%. And many of those remaining students would say they want to get some sort of post-secondary 2-year schooling or training. So all students will tell you their goal is to get something beyond high school. But if we look at the data, how we're doing, we really see it's still a tale of 2 worlds, especially between low-income kids and middle and high-income kids. First, graduating from high school, we're starting to close that gap, but it's still big. About 70% of low-income kids nationally graduate, maybe 73% now. For middle and upper income kids, it's in the upper 80s. And in many states, it is over 90%. It is totally the norm for middle and upper income kids to graduate right now. But still, 3 out of 10 or so of low income kids aren't making it. Then we look at the next thing, how many actually graduate from high school enroll in a 2- and 4-year degree. And we see again a big drop off among low income kids. Only half of those graduates are actually enrolling in a 2- and 4-year degree, although we saw before almost all aspired to it. Whereas almost 4 out of 5 middle and high income kids in fact are enrolling right away in a 2- and 4-year degree. But where we see really the huge drop off, really monumental drop off, ratio of 5 to 1, is in the percent of low income kids versus middle and high income kids that are actually getting that 4-year diploma, 4-year bachelor's degree, that 80% of all kids said they intended to get. We see that less than 10% of low-income kids by the age of 25 have actually graduated from a 4-year college, compared to 50% of middle and high-income kids. And we see how that's going to continue to perpetuate the gap between where you're born and where you end up, is when only 1 out of 10 low-income kids are actually getting that college degree they aspire to, whereas more than half of middle and high income kids are. And we actually have to move that number up too. But as we move that number up, we've got to really close this gap, because as we saw, there really is no work to support a family if you don't have that post-secondary schooling, and we see really big drop-offs. So really the whole idea of early warning systems is not just to get kids through high school, it's to get kids through high school ready so they can succeed in post-secondary schooling and training. And that's the real challenge in front of us.
As we have discussed in previous videos, researchers have found that the same indicators that are predictive of high school completion are also accurate predictors of post-secondary enrollment and completion. In a study using data from the Educational Longitudinal Study, a national sample, researchers at Johns Hopkins found that 10th grade absences were predictive of high school graduation and post-secondary enrollment. Students with 9 or fewer absences, which is about 95% attendance, were 20 percentage points more likely to graduate from high school and just under 20 percentage points more likely to enroll in post-secondary than students with 10 or more absences. In Baltimore City, for students graduating high school in 2006, researchers looked at 9th grade attendance, behavior, and course performance, and found that the ABCs were a reliable predictor of the number of students that would actually enroll in a post-secondary institution. Students without an early warning indicator were 3 times more likely to enroll in a post-secondary institution than those students with 1 EWI or 1 course failure in 9th grade. And lastly, in Chicago, for students graduating high school in 2006, researchers examined the relationship of GPA and college graduation. The findings showed that the higher a student's GPA is in high school, the more likely they will graduate from college within their first 6 years after high school graduation. Over 60% of the students who graduated with a 3.6 or higher and enrolled in a 4-year school completed a 4-year degree within 6 years, compared to slightly more than a quarter with GPAs between 2.6 and 3.0 that enrolled in a 4-year school. All of these findings have led us to create an additional category for high achievement within the on-track category. We have labeled it high achievement or college ready. Ultimately, the more students that we can push into the high achievement categories, the more likely they are to be successful in high school and post-secondary. Lastly, there are milestones in addition to the ABCs that are important for students' enrollment in post-secondary education. Many schools have explored adding these milestones as part of their indicator system to create a seamless approach to high school graduation and post-secondary success. 3 research institutions have worked together to create what they have called the College Readiness Indicator System, or CRIS framework. There are 3 inputs in their framework that define college readiness: academic preparedness, as we've discussed, college knowledge, and academic tenacity. The initial partner cities included Dallas, Texas, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, San Jose, California, the School District of Philadelphia, and New Visions for Public Schools, a school support network in New York City. Other cities have now begun examining and using the framework in order to make the connection to post-secondary success.
Thank you for taking your time to learn with us and explore with us the power of early warning systems. I want to really thank you, because I know time is one of the most precious commodities we have as we try to learn how we can best educate our kids and our students. And so thank you for giving your time to help figure out together how we can keep all of them on track to college and career readiness. And we really look forward to continue working with you and learning from you, because everything we learn from folks like you in the field, doing the work, trying to figure out how we can see early who's in trouble and figuring out the help they need, and getting all students on track so they can graduate from high school, college, and career ready.
This concludes our video series on early warning systems. We hope the series was valuable as you have begun implementation of your own early warning system. You may want to revisit these videos as you continue your implementation or bring new staff members into your school's early warning system work. Also, please visit the following website for additional information and resources. We wish you the best of luck on implementing your school's early warning system and look forward to learning more with you as you deepen implementation at your school.